Hello. Hey guys, good afternoon. Can you all hear me? This is Deepak. Sorry about the slight delay. We had some technical issues. Just wanted to quickly confirm if all of you can hear me.
We can hear you,
Okay.
Deepak.
Prerna, thanks. Thanks. Okay. Okay, so I think there is some crosstalk happening here. Praveen. Yeah, Praveen, just mute yourself. Thanks. Okay, can you guys also see the screen? Okay. Okay, and I hope you can see the presentation and it's full screen. Prerna, is it all good? Can we start?
Yes, Deepak, we can.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this webinar on careers in cloud computing and architecture. So what we'll do is in this webinar, we'll do quickly two things. One, we'll look at the cloud computing industry in general and what it means for you as an aspiring professional, as an IT professional, to be a part of the cloud computing industry. If you already are not, aware of cloud and so on. So we'll discuss about what cloud means in general, how the industry has shaped up in the last many years, and why is it an exciting time, right, to be a part of this particular journey. So why are there many exciting job opportunities in the area of cloud? And why are the industries adopting cloud as a computing paradigm? So we'll look at all of that in the first about 30 minutes, and then in the next 30 minutes, in the second half of the webinar, we'll quickly look at how Great Lakes and how Great Learning as organizations can help you, participate in the cloud journey. How can we help you become cloud relevant? How can we help you become a solid professional in the cloud ecosystem? And how can you maximize your career outcomes, with us? So we'll discuss about that in the second half once all of us have some awareness about the cloud computing ecosystem itself, right? So before we quickly start, let me take a look at the question window, and we'll answer any questions if there are. Okay, uh, Prerna, we can't see the PPT yet. Okay, folks, I hope all of you can see the presentation. Can someone confirm? Okay, great. Thanks, Shrikant. Right. Right. So without any further delay, let's get started. Right. So what are companies doing today? What are professionals doing today? So as companies, irrespective of your size, right? So whether you are a large enterprise or whether you are a small and medium business or whether you're a startup, you have one golden agenda, right? You have one guiding mission, and that is to serve your customers, right? No matter what the nature of business is. The principal focus of any company should always be on serving their customers, and that's what companies are doing today with technology as well. So traditionally, information technology, right, as much as it helps you do a lot of things, as much as it has enabled companies to achieve multiple goals in their businesses, it has also been a huge bottleneck for many enterprises, right? So IT is not easy. While IT is great, it has never been easy. It has been complicated, and because it has been complicated, it has been expensive, right? I'm sure many of you would agree to this fact, right? So IT has always been expensive. It has been complicated, and cloud changes exactly that, and that's the reason people are using cloud computing. So as companies, you want to focus on your customers. As companies, you want to focus on your core business proposition, right? What are you offering to your customer, the product itself? So you do not get any points for using thousands of servers, right? What you get points from your customers is to service them, right? So so that's the harsh fact, right? So whether you're using 1,000 servers or just 100 servers and so on, your customers will not bother about it, right? So if you're, for example, booking a ride on Ola or Uber, if you don't get a ride, you really don't care about how cool the technology platform is, right? For Uber or Ola. So companies want to focus on their customers, and cloud enables you to do that, right? And what kind of companies are using cloud? What you see in front of your screen is just an indicative list. There are thousands of companies using cloud computing, and these are just some of the companies that are building applications and products on the cloud platform, right? And what these companies want to do is just focus on the app, the specific product that they're trying to build, and not worry about the infrastructure cost or the underlying hassles of hosting a global product. So for example, if Airbnb is building an app for you to book rentals, or for example, if Ola is booking an app for you to book rides, if Slack is booking an application for you, whether desktop or mobile, for you to communicate with your colleagues and so on a global scale. Remember, all these applications are working on a global scale, but they are rarely worried about getting 10 different new set of machines, worried about their network security, worried about their scaling up quickly in the holiday season and so on. And the very reason is cloud computing, right? So companies are focusing more and more time on building intuitive and engaging products, and these products are built on cloud, right? So cloud is not just about infrastructure, it is about many other aspects that we will see in the session, right? So there are exciting things happening on the cloud, and you should definitely be a part of it. As far as the industry is concerned, if you were to ask me, hey, if this industry is growing or not, I think this is kind of a very old question, and it's no more a matter of debate whether the cloud is growing or not. I'm sure, if not all of you, most of you would have already been agreed to the fact that cloud is a real thing. It is already happening in India as well as globally, and many people are upskilling in the cloud computing ecosystem. And the reason is because industry wants such professionals, and the reason the industry wants such professionals is because you have projects in this particular domain, right? So $162 billion is the cloud computing spend. In fact, it would be more than this by just next to next year, 2020. And the average number of clouds, if you see, average number of public clouds and private clouds that companies are using, it's more than one. Okay, so it's not just that companies or individuals want to use a single cloud platform. Now we are talking about multiple cloud platforms, right? So a combination of public and private. What is a public cloud? What is a private cloud? I don't think it fits in the jurisdiction of this particular session, but the idea here is the industry is huge. It is growing positively, right? There are billions of dollars that are being spent in this particular domain. Each company is using a cloud platform, and that too more than one. And clearly there are two market leaders if you talk about cloud computing, which is Amazon Web Services and Microsoft Azure, right? So without going into their specific numbers, these two are the market leaders. And for any cloud professional, right, to become to have a serious chance at getting a cloud job, you should know, ideally both of these platforms, right? So so these are the numbers, and they are very promising for you as a cloud professional, right? So this is obviously happening in India as well. If you see the trend in the last 4 years, and if you plot them again for the next 2 years, the trend is literally exponential. Okay, and public cloud services market in India is expected to be a $4 billion market by 2020. If you are an avid news reader, if you follow technology, Alibaba recently opened their data center in Mumbai. They recently, came to India, and they're expanding in South Asia as well. Amazon has data centers. Microsoft has 3 data centers in India, right? Central India, South India, and so on. So I think this $4 billion figure will get exceeded with the way things are progressing now, right? So again, the numbers support the hypothesis that cloud is a growing market, and these are not you and me. These are these numbers have been roughly validated by Forbes and Forrester and so on. So there has been 3x growth that's expected in the next couple of years. The public cloud adoption continues to climb. Again, two clear market leaders here, Amazon Web Services and Azure. Google Cloud is an exciting platform, right? It's quickly picking up, especially in the large enterprises, and I believe Google will have a larger market share in the next 3 years, right? It's an exciting platform. So AWS, Azure, and Google, these three platforms and public clouds together will be the market leaders in the next 2 years, right? So you should look forward to all these three platforms if you want to make a serious career in cloud computing. Who is using cloud computing today? Literally everyone, right? Sorry. In fact, individually as well, there's no barrier to using cloud computing as long as you have a valid debit or a credit card. You can just create a free account, either AWS, Azure, even Google or Alibaba. You can start using their services. Now, when cloud started 10 years back, right? So it was just a couple of services, compute and storage. But today, what Amazon and Microsoft and Google, these people are offering you, it's literally every IT capability that you can imagine, right? Right from big data analytics to machine learning, IoT, artificial intelligence, data mining, data warehousing, and so on. Backup, disaster recovery. So cloud has become the go-to marketplace for availing IT services, and people and companies are no longer, thinking, in the traditional sense that, you raise a quotation from 3 IT vendors and get this in the next month, get me a server after 2 months, we'll start using it, and so on. So that has changed, and if it has not changed at your company, it will change, right? Whether we like it or not. So to the question, who is using cloud computing? Literally everybody is using cloud computing in some or the other form, right? So majority of it is public, some of it is hybrid. What this number is showing you is, private is 75%, public is 92%. But without going into these specific numbers here, because these keep on changing, the larger trend is companies have on-premise infrastructure. They want to keep it because they've already invested in it, right? Because giving it up suddenly is a loss of expenditure and loss of money. So they want to keep on-premise infrastructure, but they also gradually want to move expensive stuff to public cloud, right? So that's where migration projects come in, right? So legacy projects and traditional services companies have a lot of migration projects to work with. Is this the peak of cloud computing? Have we reached the peak of this particular trend where cloud computing has reached its peak usage and then it might go down? Well, that's not true. What's happening is it's only the beginning, right? Cloud will continue to grow in the next 10 years. In fact, I've written my thoughts on LinkedIn, and there are multiple reasons around it, right? So there is network connectivity that is improving every day, right? So with the advent of 5G tomorrow, you will have more and more people using cloud services because it gives you a lot of flexibility, it saves you a lot of money, and it allows you to innovate, right? So like companies like Airbnb, if they are able to innovate, it is because they don't have to worry about IT infra and scaling globally every now and then. If they want to go to a new country, they can go at the flip of a switch, right? So the trend has only started. Growth is expected for many years to come. And if you're looking at this particular diagram, you should look at the green color, right? So in 2013, what this green color represents is the share of traditional data center, right? Globally. So globally, 76% traditional data centers were there in 2013. That 76% has come down to 63%. Now, when this green is reducing, what it means is people are adopting public or private cloud, right? Because both the blue shades here represent cloud. Okay, so the adoption is going up. The volume of traditional data centers, their footprint is going down. So people are moving from traditional data centers to public or private cloud or a mixture of them, which is hybrid cloud, right? And 2/3 of companies globally still use traditional data centers, and that number is larger in India, right? So as Indians, I think we have a larger project to work with. We have more traditional data centers to move to cloud, right? So obviously there are more opportunities in India relatively as compared to the global market. The adoption trend, again, if you look at each of the cloud deployment models, again, these might, be different numbers for you, but without getting lost into the numbers, let's understand understand the trend. So the trend is positive. If you look at 2018, and if you look at 2015 as well, right? So the trend has stayed positive, which means cloud has seen sustained growth over the last 5 years, right? Now, many people have misconceptions as to, the cloud is just about creating virtual machines, or cloud is just about, storing your files somewhere remotely and accessing them within your, mobile phone or laptop, traditionally within a browser. But that's a very shallow definition of what cloud is, because cloud is much more than just infrastructure, right? And the evolution of cloud means that a lot of other technologies are also evolving. A lot of other aspects of information technology are also evolving. So for example, there are now new methods of software delivery, right? I'm sure all of you must have heard of DevOps, right? So DevOps um, is a parallel revolution, of course, but DevOps gets enhanced and it becomes much more possible to do because of cloud computing, right? And there are people like AWS, Azure again, and Google who offer you all the DevOps tools for you to build your entire development and operations pipeline, right? So you can do end-to-end dev and ops pipeline completely on cloud, right? You don't have to do anything off premise. Again, a second example is you won't have these kind of companies 10 years back in 2008 or 9, but today you have companies whose only product is that they have a set of APIs, okay, and they sell and lease these. So basically they make money if you make each and every API call, right? So there are companies whose only product is APIs and they are making money off it, and all of this is influenced again by cloud computing. For people who build environments and then deploy applications, again, containers is a huge revolution, right? I'm sure again you've heard about Docker, you've heard about Linux containers, you've heard about Rocket containers and so on. So containers is a huge revolution, right? Because it has technically changed how you deploy things, how you build environments, and how you deploy your applications. And microservices, again, although it kind of branches out from the old thought of SOA, service-oriented architecture, and while it's not entirely a new concept, but the adoption of microservices has gone really high. And if you want to adopt microservices and build services-based applications and then deploy it with replication and clustering, cloud computing again comes into picture, because only cloud can give you that scale, unless you can build it yourself. But people obviously prefer to take Google's class of infrastructure to kind of do that, Google, AWS, and Azure. So containers and microservices again are enhanced with the cloud evolution, and you have now things like analytical databases, right? So you're talking about data lake these days. We are no more talking about databases or data store or data warehouse. We are talking about data lake, and without going into what data lake is, essentially what we are talking about is huge massive pools of data storage, right? Taking into account different types of data, right? Structured, unstructured, semi-structured, and with the velocity that people are generating data, I'm sure all of us have seen the infographic where how much data you generate in a minute is shown for every website, right? And two huge websites, YouTube and Netflix, right? So they technically account for almost 20% of the traffic, right? The number might be plus or minus 5%, but these just two websites accounting for a huge internet share is kind of a massive testimony to what people are doing. And again, things like edge computing, fog computing, mist computing, will branch off from cloud, and cloud enables you to do large scale IoT, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so on. So it's not just about servers. Cloud, again, is a cross domain revolution, computing revolution, and it will be very, very meaningful for all of us as professionals in the IT domain, or even as CIOs and business executives, to learn what cloud is, so that you can put through that in your conversations and understand what the customer is talking to you. Right? Only when you understand what customer wants and how can you help them, uh, by using cloud computing and the solutions that you build on top of it, only then you will have a sustained business, and you can stay cloud relevant. So naturally, for people to be able to help their customers, they need to understand cloud computing, and not just understand, they should be able to work on it as well, right? So not all of you might need to develop applications, not all of you might need to deploy applications, or do testing and all of that, but at the level of an architect, you need to think like an architect, right? So for that, you need to learn different set of skills. And if you do that, naturally, cloud computing professionals are already in demand. And if you learn those skills, you can become part of that growth journey. And these are just indicative numbers of the salaries that people kind of fetch, this from last year. But even if you've seen the Indian IT industry, if you've given some interviews, you'll have a sense of what kind of packages people can command if they become cloud relevant. Like I said, there is much more to cloud than just infrastructure. These are some of the things that you should look forward to learn, if you're willing to become a cloud professional, right? So microservices, Docker, DevOps, development, and platform as a service, OpenStack, big data, etc., is something that you should and definitely learn to become a cloud aware person and in a hands-on fashion. Right? So what are the top skills that you should learn in the cloud? These are the top 5 skills that you should look forward to learning. How do you deal with databases and big data on the cloud? How do you do cloud migration for large enterprises and large projects? How do you work with containers? How do you do DevOps on the cloud? And also understand cloud governance and security, right? Because governments, companies, private enterprises, especially banks, healthcare sector, are very sensitive about where their application data and the infrastructure that holds it together stays, right? So even the government of India recently, claimed to have conversations with WhatsApp and all these payment companies to have data of Indian citizens within the Indian geography, right? So it's quite a sensitive skill to have. So these are the top 5 skills you should look forward to learn in the cloud computing domain. And how should you learn this, right? So we spoke about what skills to learn and what top skills to focus on, but how do you go about it? How do you start learning, right? So if you do a very simple analysis, right, on LinkedIn or any other, job platform, not just job platform, LinkedIn is much more than just finding jobs. You can share your thoughts and look at what other people are doing and look at their updates as well, which is quite an education in itself. So if you look at LinkedIn, you will see a whole bunch of people, young folks just out of college, doing AWS certifications or Azure certifications or Google certifications and claiming to be architects, right? While with all due respect, well, the certification itself calls itself as an architect level certification. The harsh fact is many of them are paper certified ones, right? So when I say paper certification, of course, they might have cleared the certification exam, but that by itself rarely allows you to build software, right? Rarely allows you to build cloud-based solutions. And this I've seen in many of the interviews that I take personally, as well as when we hire for our company or and when we recommend people for other companies, when other companies talk to us, right? This fact of coming across people who are just paper certified is not just my thought. It's in front of you, right? This person from and this guy is a senior leader, right? So he's saying we hire skilled AWS solutions architects and not just paper certified ones. It's a very common sentiment that we have heard, that we have come across in the IT industry. The problem is, unless you build things, unless you do projects in labs, unless you or you work on a live project in your company which is cloud based, you will not learn how real things happen, right? So certifications are valuable. They allow you to get higher chances of landing up an interview. Of course, you get priority over other people if you have a certification, but once the interview starts, right, they will no more talk about your certification, right? The interviewer will talk about, hey, what can you do for me? Can you build this particular solution? Do you know how this thing functions? What will you do if these things fail, right? So mid-career jobs, people at senior level need to have solved cloud-based problems. They need to have built cloud-based solutions, and not just configure pieces of software, right? So if you know how S3 works, for example, that's great, but that's not enough. Guess what? So solution building is multidisciplinary. It usually requires you to connect multiple AWS or Azure or Google services and concepts together, and first of all understand the use case, right? So that's what we focus on in our program here. So the moral of the story here is, for getting real life jobs, you need to understand how things actually work, and certifications do not always teach you. Certifications teach you how things are supposed to work, which service means what, and what are the best practices, but in real life projects things will always fail more often than not, and you need to have an intuitive understanding of what will work and what will not, and what is the reason for it, right? So this is the valuable expertise that people will pay you for, right? That companies want to pay you for, and that will only come when you do stuff, right? And not just get vendor certified, right? So let me take a pause here and see if we have any questions, and post answering these questions we'll move to the second half of the webinar, right? So let me look at the question window. Okay, so I do not see any questions yet. Guys, just let me know if you have any questions on what cloud computing is, what's the market like, and so on, because we just discussed that. If there are no questions, I think we are good to move to the postgraduate program in cloud computing. Okay, Harikishan has a question. Transitioning from current QA to cloud computing in mid-career will help. I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Unless you do not want to. So you can still do QA on cloud, but QA is more about software development, and the method that you can use to enhance your QA is to build it as part of the DevOps pipeline. Harikishan, I don't know how do you do QA as of now in your company, but the entire DevOps revolution is kind of meant to improve the QA checks and the entire process of quality analysis and control. Harikishan, does it help you, this response? Okay. Prerequisites for QA people to switch to cloud computing. Not many really, Harikishan. So if you take up this particular program, right, it's a 6-month program, and the prerequisites that you need to have is we should basically just understand fundamental computer networking, right? You should understand what is an IP address, what is a subnet, and so on. You should understand basic Linux, and you should understand basics of what infrastructure and applications, how do they correlate to each other, essentially. And you can always work on these prerequisites, right? So you can start as a beginner, and you can take up that journey. Harikishan, I hope that kind of helps you. Ankit Gupta, okay. So Ankit has a question, sir, which cloud platform we should opt, Amazon versus Microsoft versus Google? Great question, Ankit. See, personally, I think you should definitely learn AWS, because it's the market leader, and even if you look at the job opportunities, AWS is the leader there. So you should definitely learn AWS. And between Microsoft Azure and Google, it should be a choice based on your project needs. If you have a project in your company, or if you're planning to apply one, but you can learn any of them essentially, right? That's the reason we offer uh, Amazon, and we offer Microsoft Azure and Google as a choice for you to choose in this particular program. I will talk about it. Ankit, does that help you? You should definitely learn Amazon, and you can choose any of them, Azure or Google. Okay. So Yash has a question. Should learning AWS as basic level is enough if I'm a front end developer? Okay. Yes. So as a front end developer, I don't think you would be involved in deploying and developing stuff on the cloud, right? So learning basic AWS should help, uh, and you can also learn the advanced stuff if your job demands it tomorrow, right? But yeah, you can live with basic AWS. Okay, Sivakumar, how the security and data privacy domains have matured in the cloud? Well, uh, good question, Siva. So data security and privacy, right? So in fact, cybersecurity and all of these domains, right, have flourished independently as well, not just with cloud. And what cloud does is it essentially carries forward the same best practices that you had in on-premise infrastructure as well, right, Siva? So whatever compliance and governance requirements, whatever privacy controls you were following, and whatever security mechanisms you had traditionally, right, you would also continue to have them on cloud. Plus, the benefit that you have is large enterprises, right, which have best-in-class infrastructure and best-in-class security and privacy infrastructure like AWS, Azure, Google, Alibaba, Oracle, etc. They are helping you, maintain your application and databases and so on, right? So I think it's an enhanced model for the entire security and data privacy questions, right? So Siva, I hope that kind of gives you an idea of. Obviously, we can discuss more in detail offline, but it's at a better security level, the entire cloud thing. Okay, so Hari has a question. A lot of GCP ops are seen on freelancing than AWS. Um, Hari, I don't think I understand this question. Do you want to elaborate? Okay, a lot of GCP opportunities are seen on freelancing than AWS. Not really. See, if you want to freelance, you can freelance for any of the cloud platforms, right? Not just for AWS or Google, even for Microsoft Azure. Now, freelancing is more project specific than I think cloud platform specific. And from the job openings that I see on serious job platforms like LinkedIn and maybe Indeed.com and so on, I think you'll find more AWS opportunities. But GCP will also pick up. Varun, that is correct. Yeah. So we cover security on cloud as well, but just a disclaimer, it's not a security specialization program. So you won't become a security expert, but as a cloud architect, you would understand what security aspects to take care of, right, for your application and data. Yes, absolutely. Unless you have a question on cybersecurity and very specialized aspects of data or app security. So generic stuff on cloud, for example, if you are moving an app, or if you're building an application, or if you have a database, or if you're moving something else from one place to the other, if you're storing files, how do you secure them, right? That we'll definitely talk about. Varun, I hope that clarifies. Cool, great. All right, guys, let's move to the program offering that we have. So how can Great Learning and Great Lakes help you, right, become a solid cloud professional? Let's find out. So, so PG program in cloud computing, for short PGPCC, it's a 6 months executive program for working professionals like you. It's a program designed for professionals on the path to become architects, right? So this program is designed for people and to help people to become cloud architects, right? Whether you want to be a cloud architect or whether you will be a cloud architect is a separate question. But the philosophy here is, if you are in the experience range of, let's say 6 years to 12 or 13 years, you want to be in a senior position, right? In a senior position of decision making, right? You want to manage teams, you want to manage projects and so on. And you also want to have enough cloud literacy to be able to talk to your teams, right? To be able to talk to your developers, your QA guys, your infrastructure people, your security folks, your DevOps guys, and so on. So as a senior person, right, who wants to move to a decision making position, you need to learn quite a number of things, and you need to think like an architect, right? So being an architect is one thing, but at least thinking like an architect is very crucial if you are a decision maker, right? So that's what we are aiming for with this particular program. So if you are in this particular experience range, and if you want to take up serious cloud position like a cloud architect, or even like an associate cloud architect, if you're slightly younger, this program will help you, right? So that's the philosophy. So the format of delivery and the way you learn is very flexible. It's a flipped classroom model. So every week you learn from our online content, right? You learn from our video lectures and so on. And every weekend you come to a live mentoring session, right? So and this you do for 24 weeks, right? 6 months continuously. So it's quite an intense and rigorous program, and you have tons and tons of hands-on work and great exposure, right? So in 24 months you can expect to learn a lot of things, and you do it in a regular basis, on a weekly basis. So the program is taught and endorsed by industry leaders. We'll talk about the faculty in a moment, and you get certificate from one of the top institutions of India, which is Great Lakes Institute of Management, right? So one of the top business schools in the country. So that's the quick summary about the program itself. Just a snapshot into the faculties that we have created content with. So in a weekly fashion that you learn, these are some of the people who will interact with you, and there are many more people involved in the process. This is just an indicative list. Right? So you have people who have been chief architect at Dell earlier. You have people who are working at Microsoft. You have people who are CTOs. I am one of the faculties and mentors in the program, and so on. So you will have different set of people to interact with. It's not just one person teaching you throughout. So you'll have a variety of perspective and a variety of use cases being covered across different courses. Okay, I think there is some question. Okay, fine. Right, so what will you do in the program? You will do many things, but the summary and the essence of it is you will build a lot of things, right? You will do a lot of labs, you will do a lot of projects, and literally every other week we will ask you to create something, and that will give you a sense of accomplishment when you work for 6 months and you build multiple use cases, and you also learn from your peers apart from mentors, right? So your classmates are also very highly experienced. They're very distinguished people. They come from the best of the companies, and the average experience for our class is 11 years, right? So 11 years of work experience is the average work experience that you will find across your classmates, and the typical class size is not more than 35 people. So it's just a small classroom. You stay together for 6 months, so you learn a lot of things from your classmates as well. Sudhanshu has a question. What about the examinations and what will be the score requirements? So Sudhanshu, quickly to answer your question, we do not take any end term exam. So we believe in continuous assessments. So you will be evaluated for your labs and projects that you do, right? And in all the courses, you need to score minimum 60%, right? Which if you rigorously follow all the instructions and take up all the labs and projects, you should be able to do that easily. Does that help, Sudhanshu? Okay, we'll wait for Sudhanshu to respond later. Right. So, right. So in terms of the division of the program, right, if you look at how the progression of each and every course comes in and what's your journey like as a student. So to logically help you understand, I've divided it into multiple phases, right? So this is not a formal breakup of any of the courses, but this is just a logical grouping of different things that you will learn in the program through the 6 months, right? So after you enroll, uh, phase zero comes in where you do preparatory work. So pre-work or preparatory work is a set of carefully curated resources for you to get started, right? If you have no idea whatsoever about cloud computing, do not worry about it. We put together the pre-work for you, and the earlier you enroll, the better, because you'll get more time to actually build on the basic stuff, right? So you can read through some of the research articles that we recommend. If you can go through the blogs and some of the historical keynotes that we have done, and you can also build on your Linux and basic shell scripting skills, right? That's essential to learning cloud computing, and this is what you do even before you start the program. So that's phase zero. Phase one is foundations, where you learn the absolute basics of what different terms and definitions mean in the context of cloud computing. So things like what is virtualization, what are service models, deployment, cloud attributes, and so on, right? What VM versus container. So all these basic stuff will do in the first course, right? So that's phase one, foundations. Phase two is learning about the nitty-gritty of cloud computing, right? So you can divide that into two aspects. You learn the core services of cloud computing, and then you learn the managed services of cloud computing, and this is across platforms. So AWS is something that everybody learns, right? So that's kind of the medium of instruction of our program, if you would like. And between Azure and Google Cloud, you can choose either of them. Right? So you will learn core and managed services across AWS and one other cloud platform, right, of your choice. Phase three is when you learn many of the tangential technologies of cloud, right? So, like we discussed just some time back, that cloud is much more than infrastructure. You need to learn about containers, right? You need to learn about Docker. You need to learn about microservices. You need to learn about big data, both how to deal with big data infrastructure and how to do analytics on top of that. And you also need to learn about um, DevOps and private cloud using OpenStack. So we do all of that apart from teaching you AWS and either Azure or Google. And finally, you have a capstone project wherein you work in a team setup, right? You take up a problem and you do the entire exercise right from the consulting as a first step to understand the problem, to figure out the requirements and create the scope of the problem, right to the deployment and final live demo, right? So that's what you do in the last 12 weeks as well. It's a team effort. And apart from all of this, all the courses will have mentor session, will have labs for you. And there are 4 other projects that you're supposed to do in the 6 months. So it's quite a lot of uh, quite a lot of items and activities that you need to cover as part of the learning process. So it's definitely going to be intense, but for the same reason, it is definitely going to be rewarding for you as a learner. Okay, so Siva has a question. Is there a separate course for cloud security? The answer is no. How much does it help for a security professional to do this course? Siva, so if you want to become a security expert, this course is not the right course for you, right? So that's the response. So this is not the right course if you want to become a cybersecurity expert or a CISSP or something of that sort. But if you want to become a cloud professional and if you know about security, that will help you a lot, right? Because you bring in a different dimension of thought into each and every application that you build and every architecture diagram that you create, right? So security is a major concern. So if you are a security guy and if you want to become a cloud professional, that will be a huge benefit for you. But if you want to enhance your security knowledge and specialize in security itself, this might not be the right program for you. Siva, I hope that can. Yes, so that's what I mean again. So cloud security as a specialization is something that's not part of the program. We talk about security in the. I understand. Yeah. Yes. So, to the question, right? So, you being a security professional, and if you do this program, it will definitely help you a lot, right? Arguably, much more than other people, because being a security professional, you can always validate the solutions that you and your team is building, right? From a security perspective, right? But I'm not sure if your aim is to become a cloud professional again, right? While it will help you, I don't know if that is the aim for you. Yeah, so it will definitely help you, but you need to take the call whether you want to learn cloud and as a domain itself. Oh yeah, then it should definitely help you. Yep, it will. Sure. Thanks, Siva. Okay, let's move on. Right, so we have 5 minutes left, people, and this is just the last slide, so we don't have much left. And to quickly talk about how do we help you with your career, so it's pretty straightforward, right? So we do a few things to help you out, from sharing opportunities that we come across from our partner companies to doing a career keynote for you. For interested people, we also look at their CVs and suggest improvements for all of you who are interested in getting a review. We also look at the LinkedIn profiles and suggest improvements and so on, right? So while we do all of that, right, all of you are senior working professionals, and for senior people, placements don't make sense, right? No companies hire senior people in a campus placement mode because young people, typically people with 0 to 2 years of experience, are hired more for their potential and what they can do, as compared to when you look at a senior person, they are hired more for their track record and what they have done historically, right? So we'll do all of these things, to enable your career transition, and you'll also network with your peers in the class who can again, who are all working professionals, and some of them are hiring managers, right? So that aspect of networking will also help you affect a meaningful transition. So that's pretty much from this particular webinar, and I hope this was some value addition to potentially what you already knew about cloud computing, and hopefully it was a good starting point for people who had no idea about cloud computing. And should you have more questions about either cloud or the program itself, please feel free to reach out on the email in front of the screen or just give a call on this particular number. Thank you very much, and let me just look at the questions. Okay. Siva, costing, I think it's 1.25 lakhs plus GST for a 6-month program. Yeah. Shailesh, good question. The fee structure is, yeah, it's on the website. Yeah, yeah, it's on the website. Do you mind looking at the website? It's greatlearning.in. I'll just type it here. Yeah, it's greatlearning.in. Thanks. Okay. Eligibility, Varun, you should have 3 years of work ex in the IT industry. Could be from any role, right? So that's fine. But you should have 3 years of experience, and you can pick it up. And fee structure, like I said, the program fee is 1.25 plus GST, but the structure is on there on the website. Jay Singh, no, it's from Great Lakes, so that we have stopped. Yeah, but you'll get a certificate from Great Lakes. Yeah, not from Chicago. Yes, yes, it was part of the earlier offering, but we have kind of ended that relationship. Yeah. Yes, but it does not take away any meaningful value from the program. Yeah, so yeah, you can still pursue the program. Okay, so Siva, what is starting from? You mean the next batch? Yeah, so it should be in second week of December, first or second week of December, right? So we start every month, right? That's the answer. Yeah, so I think the application deadline is mentioned on the website for the next batch. If you can just have a look there and just put up the application, uh, our team will get back to you then. Absolutely. No, no, no. So I meant if you are willing to apply now, the next batch starts next month, not new course, new batch. Sure, Siva. Thanks. Varun, okay. Having 2 to 3 experience, will that work or minimum 3 experience? No. So 1 and 2 to 3 is fine, right? So if you have a few months less than the prescribed, recommended experience, that should be okay. It is ideal to have 3 years of experience, but there's no hard and fast rule, to be honest, because a couple of months here and there doesn't really make a huge difference if you can substantiate that with your work experience. Varun, I hope that can clarify. Okay, great, sounds good. Praveen, do you have recording of the webinar? Praveen, you mean this webinar, or you mean the sessions that happen as part of the program? Okay, so if you need a recording of this particular webinar, I think we can talk to the team. They might be able to share it. Shailesh, do you provide the login credits for AWS and Azure Labs? Is it included in the fees? So Shailesh, for Azure and Google, right, the free credits that we get is more than enough, right, from Google and Azure itself. For AWS, we give you credits and you manage the account, right? That's the model. And there are multiple reasons for it. We can discuss in detail. But from a learning perspective also, it helps you a lot if you manage your own account. But we'll give you credits, right? So the message here is you don't have to spend a single rupee from your pocket to do your labs. Shailesh, does that clarify for you? Great. Okay. Dinesh. Dinesh, while we don't cover SAP Cloud, right? So for your question, are you also from Bangalore? No, the reason I'm asking from Bangalore is because in our first batch, right, when we started back in January this particular year, so there was a lady from SAP, right? So she was an SAP developer and she pursued this program, and it helped her a lot because she was also working on SAP HANA and an internal cloud platform that SAP has, right? So the concepts that you learn will also help you build a lot of things otherwise, right, in different platforms. Yes, yes. So it helped her a lot. In fact, given her great learning outcome, I actually shared that experience on my LinkedIn profile, and you can probably connect with her, right? So I think it should help if you have aspirations of becoming a cloud professional, or you can also potentially look forward to getting an internal transition into working on SAP cloud products. Yeah. Sure. Thanks a lot. Okay. Varun has a question. This is completely online, or would there be any in-person trainings? If so possible, they should be in Chennai. I'm looking for this in Chennai. Okay. So Varun, do not worry. It's online, right? So you don't have to be at any location. You can do it from anywhere. It's a completely online program. Yep. Yep. You can do it from anywhere. Okay, so guys, so in the interest of time, I think we'll have to wrap up now. But great session. Thank you for asking all the questions, and we are still there with details on the screen here. Just reach out to the email ID and the number, and we'll be happy to help you. Thank you for joining in today, and have a good day, and all the best for your career aspirations. Thanks again. Vidya, can you reach out to the team with your CV and profile? And I think we can discuss this separately. Vidya, you still there? Yeah, just reach out to the team, and we'll take up your case separately. Thank you.